final Trans-Tasman Test. It is all on. It is one apiece going into this final race. And Mark, I think we can expect some fireworks in this one, because I know from James Huggy Urquhart, he's going roo hunting.
That's my way to look at it, isn't it? Look at it straight away, 3 abreast coming into turn 1 here. Now, can Chris Pither execute turn 1 smoothly and keep the lead?
He did a good job.
Yeah,
he rolled Jane up the track into turn 1. There's some different lines down there through 1. On board with handlebars, Charlie Kovacs. So it is one apiece for the Trans-Tasman Test Series. It all comes down to this. Jane pulls to the outside of Pither, but Pither's got track position down into turn number 1. The end of a long weekend, and everything's got to be wearing a little bit thin. Tyres, brakes, you name it.
And they don't have the biggest tyre allocation as well amongst some of the other championships. But here we go. Kim Jane around the outside of Chris. Chris going to respond to this.
Bit of understeer from Jane off the exit. They're going to be side by side on the run down to the chicane, but Jane's on the dirty side of the track, kicking up the dust on the inside. Pither is moving him down. He's going to get the line through the chicane.
Yeah, third line, look, just how does Grouder said, we aren't going to make it through here. One of us is going to back out, and I know it's not me. That's how the Kiwis win things, isn't it?
Well, I have it on good authority from the Australians that they think Jane's got the advantage here because he is on a different pad to Chris Pither.
There you go. Well, therefore, see, Aussies always doing something different, aren't they? Don't want to compete with us equal field because they know we're going to win.
Well, the Aussies reckon that Pither's going to struggle because Pither's on endless pads, Jane is on Ferrados, so that's going to be something to watch. They run a control brake system, the AP Racing rotor and caliper system, but they are running different pads. On board with Robert Jarvis, looking back to Simon Junior Burner. Simon Byrne. Interesting story about Robert Jarvis is he's just recently climbed Mount Kilimanjaro.
I don't know where that is, but it sounds pretty tall anyway. So
it's a little bit bigger than Mount Pirongia. I can tell you that for a fact.
Hard to believe, Jamie, but here we go. Look, the two guys in front are taking the battle to each other. You mentioned about the pad different compound. Having a lot of experience in it, I would say that Chris Pither is on the better combination, to be honest.
Byrne's gone down the inside of Jarvis, so a pass there for the Kiwis, an all-important pass, but Kovacs is going to follow him through in the Wilson Security number 1. He is the reigning international champ. I think he's going to lose his crown this weekend because it comes down to Pither and Jane. One win apiece. Test series apiece for the Kiwis and the Aussies.
Corkery down the inside.
He muscles his way past Jarvis, so another pass for the Kiwis, and Lockwood's going to try and make it 3 wide off the exit at 2.
Someone's going to have to concede here because this ain't going to work.
Oh, stand by for action. Someone's going to concede. I think it might be Mr. Lockwood on the outside. Corkery's going to pick up the spot. Lockwood's going to drive around Jarvis. There's the onboard shot, so Lockwood, the Phantom.
She's nice aggressive driving, but they have to execute these moves nicely early in the race because once we get into like laps 6, 7 and 8, you're really in defensive mode. If you can execute those moves nice and early, then you can block the guy for the second half of the race.
Kovacs trying hard through the chicane. He got lots of attitude with the Wilson Security ute, and already at this stage of the race, we've got mirrors hanging off race cars. It's going to be fairly busy. I can see 14 laps. It is the longest race of the weekend for the V8 utes, the Trans-Tasman Test finale.
Now, you mentioned something about Kovac before. Didn't you say he's actually got the world's fastest speed for towing a caravan?
Well, we talk about interesting facts. I mean, Jarvis has just climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. Kovacs there in the Wilson Security car held the Guinness World Record for the fastest speed ever in a caravan, 210 kilometres an hour behind an EB Falcon.
Imagine making your cup of tea in the back of that thing doing 210k. Should be a wild ride, wouldn't it?
Oh, that would have been interesting to watch. And Owen Evans was talking about it behind a VW Touareg, but I don't think he's actually come up about doing it. Here's Burner. This is the shot of the previous run. Oh, he was completely sideways.
Yeah, what they do is they hit the bite, and that's a good thing about these utes is, unlike some other cars, when they get a bit sideways, they've got the confidence to know they can drag the things out of them. We saw some of the other supporting classes when that happened. They went stage extra hard right into the wall.
Here's the battle up front. Pither leading for the Kiwis, the reigning and new New Zealand V8 ute champion, Kim Jane. He's currently 11th in the Australian Championship. He's finished 2nd and 4th in the previous couple of the Australian Ute Championships. They're in their 10th season. We're in our infancy here in New Zealand for just coming off our 3rd season. But big news, Mark, with the NZV8 Utes joining the Motorsport New Zealand Premier Race Championship for 2011.
It's good news for the category, but let's just hope they get the support from the competitors to come back and make it a worthwhile championship, because on 8 or 10 numbers, they need 15 or 20 numbers to make it successful. But going back to what you alluded to about the relatively new state of this championship in New Zealand, just goes to prove how competitive the New Zealand guys are. Chris Pither, Matt Lockwood, Corkery's, the likes. They're doing such a good job because they don't race week in and week out like the Aussie guys do.
Well, there's probably not too many people here in New Zealand doing more motor racing around the country than Matt Lockwood. I mean, he's just tied up his second Mazda Pro 7 championship. He's been running in the BNT V8s and back in a ute here this weekend. Pith has done a fair amount of motor racing. He's also contested a couple of rounds in the BNT V8s, and he's got the race lead here, and he's just extending a little bit over Kim Jane, looking pretty comfortable out in front for the Test Series finale, the Trans-Tasman Test between the Aussies and the Kiwis. Kiwis first and third, with Junior Burner back there in third in the McDonald's Ford.
Right, on paper, then you have to say at the moment it's one apiece. I think going on the results at the moment, if the race was stopped, it'll be 2-1 to the Kiwis.
Well, let's just stop the race now. Our rules.
Why not?
Underarm, that's all I'm going to say. We're in New Zealand rules. Here's some issues back through the chicane.
Bit of a brake lock up there.
Not for the first time this weekend, Mr. Millett. And,
of course, we saw that car come back off the back of the flat deck wrecker, didn't we?
And he's having another go, drifting style out of turn number 5. Well, Millett had a huge hit at the beginning of the weekend in qualifying, and both front chassis rails were 45 degrees pointed to the left, so a good effort to get that car back. And well, he himself has come off the back of brain surgery recently, so I think this is one of his first races back, so good to see him out there, and he's right in the midst of it here on lap 4 of 14 for the V8U Trans-Tasman Challenge.
There's a little bit of debris hanging off the back of that thing, and we know the officials aren't afraid to hang the debris flag out when something like that shows. So let's just hope that that thing falls off and allow this race to continue so he doesn't have to stop.
There's Jeff Spencer going through just in front of Millett. Spence running for the New Zealanders. He locks a break up into the chicane. He's had an eventful weekend. He got shortened up in qualifying by one of his fellow Kiwi drivers. So the action continues here from Hamilton. The Trans-Tasman finale for the V8 Utes. Don't go away. We'll be back with more